Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Matt, reporting for the Sin Bin. Look, there is very few instances where hockey will piss me off. If I hear hockey news and it pisses me off. Usually, I'm good at separating that, look, it's a game, I'm not going to let it ruin my day, yada, yada, yada. And I woke up this morning, I was in a great mood. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday, TGIF, that type of shebang. And then I go on Twitter, and the Montreal Canadiens account, they posted that Ryan Poehling, he suffered a concussion, and he's out for an indefinite period of time. They also said McCarron was injured, but apparently no one cares about him. We're all focused on Ryan Poehling, and that pissed me off, and it put me in a bad mood. It really did. I'm going to explain why in depth, and I'm going to explain the ramifications. There's a word for you. But first, let's unravel the series of events, how it happened, because I want you guys to see the series of events through my lens. Okay? So, it's a preseason game, the Montreal Canadiens versus the Florida Panthers B team, or it's the A team, whatever which, doesn't matter. Ryan Poehling gets hit into the boards by a Florida player, his name is Hunt or something, again, doesn't matter. He gets a boarding penalty. What concerned me is that Ryan Poehling fell to the ice. It appears like he may have hit his head on the way down or maybe on the boards, but he did hit his head. And what concerned me is the way he grabbed his head and he was wincing and he just seemed visibly in pain. And I turned to either Rick or Scotty, or I guess both of them, and I said, guys, that is a concussion. I know the signs and symptoms. I know the symptomology. That is a concussion. Now, afterwards, he went on to play the rest of the game. He got that beautiful toe drag move, beautiful toe drag assist, passed it to Balzac, and he scored a goal, and everything was fine. And after that night, I thought, well, he probably doesn't have a concussion. He came back. Everything's nice. He played a great game, Ryan Poehling being Ryan Poehling. In the interview, he sounded good. He talked about the hit a little bit. He said he wasn't expected to get hit. Now, whose fault is it, this hit? I might get shit for this. It's actually 50-50. Was it a dirty hit? Absolutely. Did he get penalized? Yes. But at the same time, it was a dirty hit, but at the same time, if Ryan Poehling wants to play in the NHL and wants to play with bigger people, he has to be aware of who's on the ice. Now, that play that he made, perhaps he could have gotten away with it in college hockey. But in the NHL, and preseason almost seems worse to some extent because a lot of these guys want to make an impression for their team, so they're just out there hitting. And he suffered, and in the end, he suffered a concussion. Now, this is really unfortunate. Ryan Poehling and Nick Suzuki, the two of the prospects that are slated to at least make a push to be on the big club. And after the way he played in that Panthers game, and after the way Nick played yesterday, I thought there is a slight possibility that both of these guys may make the team. There is a strong case for it. I don't see a world where both Ryan Poehling and Nick Suzuki or either or are sent down to Laval. Even if it wouldn't bother me, to be honest. But that's another story for another day. Now this news came out. Ryan Poehling is out indefinitely with a concussion. So, there's not a lot of good news about this. I like to look at the optimistic side. I like to look at the glass half full. There's not much glass half full here, okay? But let's just unravel it, okay? The first thing I wanted to talk about is the concussion. And there's one key word I want you guys to take into account. Mild. Now, what do I mean by mild? Am I talking about salsa? What is it? I'm talking about the concussion. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind that I am not a medical doctor. I do work in the medical field, but I am not a medical doctor, or study, I should say. I don't know much about concussions, but I will tell you this. When a player gets hit, okay, and suffers what might be a concussion, if the team suspects it to be a concussion, they'll go in the locker room. They'll go in what's called a dark room. It's this room voided of light, voided of sounds, and they'll do a few tests on you. They'll test your balance. They'll ask you questions, that type of stuff. And then they'll judge if you have a concussion. So the fact that he got hit into the boards and later came back in the game, what that tells me is that he did the protocol, the tests, and he passed it, and he came back, and he finished the game. No harm, no foul. The problem is that the next morning, he started getting, I think it was headaches, he said. He started getting headaches, and that's when Claude Julien came out to the media and said he might have a concussion. Now, the fact that he passed the protocol, that leads me to believe that maybe this concussion isn't as severe as it could have been. In addition, when he got hit, he didn't stumble, he wasn't dazed, he wasn't dizzy, he wasn't like Jonathan Taze after he got hit by Willie Mitchell where he couldn't even make it to the bench. I mean, he made it to the bench, and he made it, and he finished the game. So that would tell me that maybe it's not as severe a concussion as it could have been. Maybe he's going to miss maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. But apart from that, they're good. Again, I am not a doctor. I don't know much about concussions. I don't even know if they went through the protocol. Maybe it's preseason. They said, fuck it. With the staff there in the stands, they're eating hot dogs. Fuck it. Let's not do it. So I will tell you that. That's the first thing I will say. Second of all, while there was competition between Poehling and Suzuki, and while I think both of them had a strong case to make the roster, I don't really see Claude Julien having two rookies like that on the team. Why? I don't know. It's kind of a feeling. He seems like the type of guy who wants to take each project on individually. So this injury to Poehling, and as much as I don't like to see him injured, and I don't like to see anyone injured, it sort of opens the door up for Nick Suzuki. I thought Nick Suzuki played one hell of a game yesterday. The pass he made on the Kulak goal, that nifty shootout goal. I mean, if that's not cheeky, then I don't know what it is. Let me take a drink. Back to Poehling. I don't like concussions. It could have long-term ramifications on the player, whether it be memory loss, whether it be recurrent headache, that type of stuff. But the good news about it is that it may not affect his game as much as if it were, for example, a lower body injury. Like I've seen many, in all of my years of watching hockey, I've seen people recover from concussions and come back and play just as good as they did before than if they were to suffer, for example, a knee injury or a leg injury. A knee injury, you come back, you're not the same player, you don't skate the same, your steps behind. The lower body is very essential in hockey. Same thing for leg. You get your leg snapped, like Stamkos. He went sliding in the boards against the Boston Bruins. He snapped his leg, missed the Olympics, was pounding the ice like a maniac. He came back. I thought that Stamkos was always a step behind in terms of speed. If you look at his stats, he's always going to be as the same old Stamkos, you know. But on his on-ice play, whenever I look at him, he never seemed to be the same after that leg injury. So, while I don't like to see players get injured, period, and while concussions can have really, really bad side effects later on, I think the degree of Poehling's concussion, I don't think it's a really major one. If I were to guess, and there's no detail about this, and this isn't factual, so please take this with a grain of salt. If I were to guess, this is a mild one, and he's going to come back better than ever. Again, I'm looking at the glass half full. I might be wrong. He might be out forever. He might come back. He won't be the same. I'm looking at the glass half full. You know, Crosby had concussions. He came back. He was still the good old Crosby. Do you disagree? Tell me why. Okay, but that's sort of what I had to say about the whole Poehling incident. It's unfortunate. It may not be as bad as we think, but regardless, I think it opens up the door for Nick Suzuki. Now, before I end this video, we have to take into account what will happen when Poehling, God willing, recovers from this injury. So when he recovers, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to Laval for a little brief period, almost as a conditioning stint. I think that out of the two prior to this injury, Poehling probably had the best chances, but given this injury, he might go to Laval maybe a week or 2 or 3 for a little conditioning stint. And that's when he'll be called up with the big club, and he'll join Nick Suzuki, and they'll have the two rookies on the same team. That's what I think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I hope you guys liked this video. Please like it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Check me out. Sunday, potentially, it's not sure yet, but I'm almost 90% sure, I am going to be doing a live stream of my fantasy draft. So please make sure to join us. I have some really cool special guests. Make sure to join us and fire away in the live chats. I really love you guys, you fans, you guys who listen to me. You're really the best. And again, make sure to subscribe. I'm trying to grow this thing, and I really need your guys' help. In the meantime, my name is Matt. Keep your stick on the ice.